Hello friends, in this playlist I will discuss how to design validators using interface-oriented design and using dependency injection. I will be using Spring Boot as a framework and Java language, and we will be using Java 8 features. So I've decided to break down the videos into manageable chunks, and it should take around not more than 60 minutes to watch all the videos and write the codes. And at the end of this playlist, you will be able to learn how to create validators using interface-oriented design and dependency injection using Spring Boot. Uh, so the first video is just about the request objects walkthrough and what does really the request validation mean. So what does request validation really mean? Why do we need it? So request validation is a process which validates the fields populated in request data sent to our API by our client. That's it. Nothing more than that. We just validate the data that is coming to us. If this data looks okay, which means that we can process this data, then we will execute the request. Else, we'll just go ahead and fail the request, right? Because the data is not valid itself, right? So what does our API object really look like? So let us do a walkthrough for that. So our use case is that we will be getting a transaction object. We will be getting a transaction object in request, and it will have three fields. First is customer, second is merchant, and third is invoice. So for all practical purpose, we will be just using transaction object, invoice object, and invoice item object. So what does the invoice object have? The invoice object have the date when the invoice was created and the list of items that the invoice really contain. And the third field is not mandatory, so we'll just create invoice ID on the fly. So it will be not passed to us. And the invoice item field has the item name and the price of an invoice. Now we are using money class of Jura dependency, so I'm not creating any new class. Um, Apart from that, this is it for the first video. So just to recap, we will be designing uh, validators using Spring Boot and dependency injection and interface oriented design. Our use case is that we will be getting the transaction object as a request object, which will have three fields: customer, merchant, and invoice. And for every practical purpose for this example, we will be using transaction object, invoice object, and invoice item object. In the next video, we will define the validator spec, that is the validator interface, and few classes that are needed for the validation purposes. That's about it. See you in the next video.